About 2 years ago, I had a spine-chilling encounter that left me with a lingering sense of unease and a profound distrust of the unknown. This story is a chilling reminder that the darkness can hold secrets that defy explanation. It was a moonless night, and a thick fog hung heavy in the air as I drove my car through a desolate stretch of road on the outskirts of town. My own car had been in the shop for repairs, and I was forced to borrow my cousin's old, creaky sedan, which added an eerie soundtrack to the already ominous atmosphere. I was on my way home after a late-night shift at work, my nerves already frayed from a long day. The road seemed endless, with no other vehicles in sight. The only sounds were the occasional hoot of an owl and the eerie whistling of the wind through the trees. As I rounded a particularly sharp bend, my headlights illuminated a figure standing by the side of the road. My heart skipped a beat as I realized it was a woman, her pale face obscured by long, tangled hair that hung like a curtain, veiling her features. I slowed down, a feeling of dread settling in the pit of my stomach. The woman's clothes were tattered, and she clutched a small, weathered bag in one hand. She extended her other hand, her fingers bony and skeletal, as if beckoning me to stop. Every instinct screamed at me to drive on, to leave this sinister apparition behind, but a morbid curiosity compelled me to pull over. I rolled down my window just a crack and asked if she needed help. The woman's voice was a haunting whisper, filled with an otherworldly chill that sent shivers down my spine. She claimed to have been stranded for hours and begged for a ride to the nearby town, promising that her destination was just a few miles away. I hesitated, torn between my unease and a nagging sense of sympathy. Against my better judgment, I unlocked the doors, and she climbed into the back seat without a word. Her presence was an unsettling presence, and I could feel her eyes on me through the rearview mirror, even though her face remained hidden. As we continued down the road, an oppressive silence hung in the air, broken only by the occasional rattling of her bag. I stole a glance at her in the mirror, and what I saw froze my blood. Her face, or what was visible of it, was gaunt and pallid, her eyes two dark voids that seemed to pierce through my very soul. Fear clawed at my chest as I realized that I was alone on a deserted road with this eerie hitchhiker. I pressed down on the gas pedal, determined to get her to her supposed destination as quickly as possible. Suddenly, she spoke again, her voice filled with a sinister glee. She began to recount a tale of death and betrayal, of a long-lost love who had met a grisly end. Her words grew more and more unhinged, and I could feel a malevolent energy filling the car. Desperation consumed me, and I slammed on the brakes, sending the car skidding to a stop. Without looking back, I flung open the door and ran as fast as I could, leaving the sinister hitchhiker behind. As I reached the nearest town and sought refuge in a well-lit diner, I couldn't shake the feeling that something malevolent had hitched a ride with me that night. I never saw the woman again, but the memory of her haunted me for years to come, a chilling reminder that the darkness holds secrets best left undiscovered. It was just last year when I had an experience on the road that still sends shivers down my spine. This story is a chilling reminder that not everything is as it seems, even on familiar routes. It was a crisp autumn evening, and the sun had already dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the road. I was driving back from a weekend getaway, my car humming along the familiar stretch of highway that led me home. As the miles passed, I couldn't help but feel a growing sense of unease. The road I knew so well seemed different somehow, as if it had taken on a sinister quality. The surroundings were cloaked in darkness, the trees lining the highway casting eerie silhouettes that danced in my headlights. I glanced at the clock on the dashboard and realized that it was later than I had thought. Fatigue settled in, and I decided to pull over at the next rest area to stretch my legs and grab a cup of coffee. But as I continued to drive, I noticed something peculiar. The exit signs for the rest areas seemed to appear and disappear, like phantoms in the night. I shook my head, attributing it to exhaustion and my imagination playing tricks on me. As I approached what should have been the rest area, a deep sense of dread washed over me. The once well-lit rest area was now shrouded in darkness, and the parking lot was eerily empty. It was as if time had stopped, and I had stumbled upon a place that didn't belong in this world. Intrigued and unnerved, I decided to pull into the parking lot, my curiosity getting the better of me. I stepped out of my car and was met with an unsettling silence, broken only by the faint whisper of the wind. As I wandered through the empty rest area, I noticed that everything was frozen in time. The swings in the children's playground swayed gently, even though there was no wind. The vending machines were stocked with snacks that looked fresh but hadn't seen a customer in ages. I cautiously approached the restroom building, its dimly lit entrance beckoning me like a portal to another dimension. The door creaked open, revealing a long corridor with flickering lights that cast eerie, shifting shadows. My heart raced as I ventured further inside. It felt like I was walking through a haunted house in an abandoned amusement park. I heard faint whispers and the echo of distant laughter, as if the rest area held the echoes of countless travelers who had passed through here long ago. Suddenly I heard a voice, soft and melancholic, calling my name from the depths of the restroom. My blood ran cold as I turned to leave, but the door slammed shut, trapping me inside with the phantom voice. Panic surged through me as I fumbled for my phone, desperately trying to call for help. But there was no signal, no connection to the outside world. It was as if I had entered a different reality, a realm where time and space no longer followed the rules. The voice grew closer and I could see a figure approaching through the dimly lit corridor. It was a woman, her face obscured by long, tangled hair. She reached out to me with bony, skeletal fingers, her eyes filled with an otherworldly sadness. Before I could react, I felt a cold hand on my shoulder and a chilling whisper filled my ears. "Welcome to the Phantom Road," she said, her voice echoing with a sorrow that sent shivers down my spine. In that moment, I knew that I had stumbled upon something beyond my comprehension, a place where the boundaries between reality and the supernatural blurred. As I stood trapped in that eerie restroom, I could only wonder if I would ever find my way back to the world I knew, or if I was destined to be a traveler on the Phantom Road forever. It was a stormy night, rain lashing against my windshield as I navigated the lonely stretch of highway. I was low on fuel, and the glow of the gas gauge cast an ominous reminder of my dwindling options. I couldn't find a gas station for miles, and my anxiety grew with each passing minute. Just when I thought I might be stranded, the faint glow of neon lights pierced through the torrential rain. A gas station materialized on the horizon like an oasis in the desert. I breathed a sigh of relief and pulled in. The gas station was a throwback to the 50s, complete with vintage pumps and a flickering neon sign that read, "Open all night." A lone attendant stood behind the counter, a man with graying hair and an eerie, toothless grin. He gestured for me to fill up, so I stepped out into the rain. As I began pumping gas, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. The air was thick with an unsettling silence, and the pitter-patter of raindrops seemed to echo in the empty night. I glanced back at the attendant, who hadn't moved from his spot. His grin remained fixed, unchanging. Creeped out, I decided to pay with cash and get back on the road as soon as possible. As I approached the counter, the attendant spoke in a raspy voice. "Strange weather we're having, ain't it?" I nodded in agreement, eager to leave. He rang up the sale and handed me my change, but as our fingers touched, I recoiled. His skin was ice cold, and his touch sent a shiver down my spine. I rushed back to my car, gripping the steering wheel as I peeled out of the gas station. But something was wrong. No matter how fast I drove, the gas station never seemed to disappear in my rearview mirror. It remained unchanging, as if frozen in time. Panic set in as I realized that I was trapped in some kind of bizarre loop. I couldn't escape the phantom gas station, no matter which direction I drove. My gas gauge never budged, as if the fuel I had pumped was merely an illusion. Hours turned into days, and exhaustion overwhelmed me. The gas station attendant's unsettling grin haunted my dreams. I tried to call for help, but my phone had no signal, leaving me completely isolated. In a desperate act of defiance, I slammed on the brakes and stepped out of the car, determined to confront the attendant. But when I reached the counter, it was empty. The gas station had vanished, leaving me standing in an empty, rain-soaked field. I never saw that phantom gas station again, and I eventually found my way back to the real world. But to this day, I can't forget the eerie encounter that left me questioning the boundaries of reality and the supernatural. Thank you for joining me on this chilling journey. If you enjoyed this spine-tingling tale, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more eerie stories and mysterious encounters. And remember, as you go about your own adventures, be wary of the unknown lurking in the darkness. Until next time, stay curious, stay safe, and stay tuned for more haunting tales.